and welcome back to another podcast with Mr. Hagan. And on some of these earlier podcasts, we talked about the difference between quantity demanded, which is moving along the demand curve, and shifting the demand curve. Now, we're not going to get into the shifting on this video. And then we talked about the difference between quantity supplied, moving along the supply curve, and shifting the supply curve. We will not shift the supply curve on this video either. Instead, what we're doing on this video is we're putting supply and demand curves together on the same graph. So let's start up here in the corner. Up here in the corner, on the upper corner, we have the supply and demand schedules, which we did talk about also on a previous podcast. So right here is the demand schedule. The demand schedule gives you the different quantities demanded at different prices. And notice that that's an inverse relationship, so that when the price of a good goes up, the quantity demanded by the consumer goes down. And that just makes sense. As we've said before, when the price of something goes up, people tend to buy less of it. So when the price is $1, the consumer wants to buy 5 units of the good. When it's $2, they want to buy 4 units of the good. When $3, they want to buy 3 units of the good, and so on and so forth. And then what I did is I took these points here and I graphed them and got the demand curve. So when the price is $5, consumers only want to buy 1 unit of the good. When the price is $4, they want to buy 2 units of the good, and so on and so forth. Then we do the same thing over here on the supply side, where we have the supply schedule that we will use to graph the supply curve. Now, the big difference is that the relationship between price and quantity on the supply side is now a positive relationship. That means that when the price goes up, producers want to bring more of the good to market to sell. And that just makes sense. The higher the price something is, the more I want to produce it and sell it. So when the price was $1, producers brought 1 unit to market. When it was $2, they brought 2 units to market. And at $3, they brought 3 units to market, and so on and so forth. And then I graphed that. Price is $1, they bring 1 unit to market. Price is $2, they bring 2 units to market. Price is $3, they bring 3 units to market, and so on. Now, we now have the producer supply curve and the consumer demand curve all together on one graph, and we now want to say, well, how does all of this influence the price of the good? What I'm really asking here is, where does price come from? What determines the price? Well, let's just pick a price at random for now. Let's pick some price. Let's say the price of the good is $4. Now, I don't know how the price got to be $4. I just picked a number. Well, what we do is we say, okay, if the price is $4, we come down to $4 on the graph, and we draw a price line across. Now, when we draw that price line across, that price line should give us the same information that we have right here. So let's see if it does. When the price is $4, we come across and hit the supply curve right here, and then come down. And what that tells us is, that when the price is $4, producers will bring 4 units of the good to market. And there it is. When the price is $4, they'll bring 4 units of the good to market. Now, at the same time, when the price is $4, come across, hit the demand curve, and come down. When the price is $4, consumers only want to buy 2 units of the good. So, okay, that's consistent with this right here. When the price is $4, producers bring 4 units of the good to market, and consumers only want to buy 2 units of the good. Well, let's find that down here. When the price is $4, producers are willing to bring 4 units of the good to market, but consumers only want 2 units of the good. So what is that called? Here, the price is $4. Producers are bringing 4 units of the good to market. Consumers only want 2 units of the good. That is what economists call a surplus. There is a surplus of this good in the marketplace. The surplus means that the quantity supplied in the marketplace is greater than the quantity demanded. And so you have all of these extra units of the good that are being brought to market that people don't want to buy. In this case, at $4, producers are bringing 4 units to market, and consumers only want to buy 2. So there's a surplus of 2 units. Okay, well, what are producers going to do with those extra 2 units? They didn't produce it so they could take it home with them. They produced 4 units so they could sell it. So here the producers have these 4 units. They only could sell 2. How do they get rid of the other 2? Well, they start to lower the price, whatever you want to call it, have a sale, bid the price down, whatever you want to say, they're going to lower the price of the good. So that's going to cause the producers to start to bid down the price. Now, I'm not saying the producers want to bid down the price, but they're forced to in order to get rid of these excess units. So let's say that as they begin to bid down the price, then to try to get consumers to buy some more of the good, maybe the price gets bid down to, let's say, $3.50. And at $3.50, now we have to draw a new price line across. Now we got to come across, hit the supply curve and come down. And now consumers only want to buy, producers are only willing to bring in the future maybe 3.5 units of the good to market on average. And consumers, now that the price is lower, come over to the demand curve, consumers now are willing to buy more of the good. Now they're willing to buy 2.5 units of the good. And so there's still a surplus, but the surplus has gotten smaller. You see, the surplus used to be from 4 all the way to 2. Now the surplus is only from 3.5 to 2.5. And look what happened. As the price got bid down, suppliers were bringing less of the good to market than they did before. They're moving along the supply curve. And consumers, as the price goes down, are willing to buy more of the good. That is to say, an increase in the quantity demanded. Now, you said that arrow is pointing down, Hagen. That's not an increase. Yes, it is, because it's going to the right. Consumers are willing to buy more of the good. That arrow is pointing to the right. Consumers are willing to buy more of the good. And so the surplus is smaller. But there's still a surplus. And if there's still a surplus, that means that, well, consumers still want to buy less of the good than what the producer is bringing to market. So the price is going to get bid down even more because there's these extra units available. These extra units that the producers brought to market that the consumers aren't buying. So as a result of that, the price is going to get bid down even more. And in fact, the price is going to get bid down to, let's say, $3. Now, what's important at $3? Well, at $3, if we come across, we find that at $3, we get to this special point where the quantity demanded is exactly equal to the quantity supplied. At a price of $3, the quantity demanded is exactly equal to the quantity supplied. That is to say, consumers will, when the price goes to $3, consumers will want to buy 3 units of the good, and producers will bring 3 units of the good to market. There's a special word for that when the price is at that point, and that is called equilibrium. Equilibrium. Equilibrium is the price at which the quantity supplied is equal to the quantity demanded. The quantity supplied is equal to the quantity demanded. So we can always say this will always be true. We can always say that whenever there's a surplus, the quantity supplied will be greater than the quantity demanded, and that will cause prices to get bid down until we get to equilibrium. That will always be the case. So we are always going to be driven back to equilibrium. Whenever the price is high, there will be a surplus. The quantity supply will be greater than the quantity demanded, and that will cause prices to get bid down until we get to equilibrium. That's how markets work. So on this video, we looked at what happened when the price was relatively high. On the next video, we'll look at what happens when prices are relatively low. We'll do that on the next video. This has been Mr. Hagan. Thanks for joining me on another Econ podcast, and we will see you on the next podcast.